You survived something most people will never see. A war fought in your own mind. Every insult, every manipulation, every silent treatment left marks no one else can see, but your body remembers them all. You survived something most people will never understand. A war fought inside your own mind. Not every bruise is visible. Not every scar bleeds. And sometimes the deepest pain is the one no one else believes. Emotional abuse isn't always shouting or slamming doors. It's the quiet manipulation, the guilt disguised as love, the subtle control that makes you question your own memory. If you've ever felt small in someone's presence, if you've apologized just for existing, or if you've spent nights replaying every word you wish you hadn't believed, this video is for you. Because today, we're going to uncover the 8 ways emotional abuse changes you, not just in your mind, but in your body, your behavior, and your entire sense of self. Stay with me until the end. What you'll hear might explain more about your life than years of silence ever did. 1. It takes too long to heal. There's a kind of pain that time doesn't understand. You can walk away, move to another city, block their number. And still, years later, a random song or smell can pull you right back to that moment. Emotional wounds are tricky. They don't bleed, so people assume you're fine. But inside, your mind keeps replaying the same film. Every insult, every manipulation, every silent night. And here's the cruel part. Your brain can't tell the difference between a memory and a new attack. Each time you remember, your body relives it. Neuroscientists call this emotional looping. Your amygdala, the part of the brain that handles threat, doesn't know the danger is over. So it keeps sounding the alarm, keeping you stuck in survival mode long after the war has ended. That's why healing feels slow. You're not weak. You're simply trying to teach your brain what peace feels like again. 2. Most people don't understand what you've been through. You try to explain it once, how every word they said felt like a blade dipped in honey, how being loved by them felt more like walking on eggshells than being held. But most people just smile awkwardly and say, at least they didn't hit you. As if bruises on the skin matter more than the ones carved into your self-worth. You stop talking about it, thinking maybe you're being dramatic. But silence doesn't mean healing. It just means carrying the pain alone. And here's what almost no one tells you. Being unseen hurts just as much as being abused. Because recognition is the first step toward release. Psychologists call this secondary invalidation. When the people you turn to minimize your pain, your nervous system relives the trauma twice. Once from the abuser, and again from disbelief. So if no one understood you back then, remember this. You're not hard to understand. They just never learned how to listen beyond words. 3. It gives you a negative outlook on life. After emotional abuse, the world can start to feel like a trap. You look at people laughing freely and wonder, how can they trust so easily? When you've been blamed for someone else's moods, you learn to expect danger even in calm places. The sunlight feels suspicious. Kindness feels temporary. And so, you build walls. Not because you hate people, but because you're terrified of being fooled again. But here's the hidden cost. Those walls don't just keep pain out. They keep love out too. This is called learned helplessness. When your mind, once punished for hope, begins to fear it. Every disappointment becomes proof that safety doesn't exist. You stop dreaming big. You choose predictable over peaceful. And slowly, the world turns gray, even when it's full of color. But the truth is, your eyes aren't broken. They've just been trained to look for danger instead of light. 4. It gives you a negative view of yourself. One of the hardest things about emotional abuse is how it makes you turn against yourself. You start questioning every memory. Did that really happen? Maybe I overreacted. Maybe I deserved it. That's not self-awareness. That's gaslighting taking root inside you. When someone spends years tearing you down, you start borrowing their voice. Their criticism becomes your inner narrator. And soon, you don't even need them to hurt you. You do it to yourself automatically. But here's the cruel twist. Your brain believes the voice it hears most often, even when that voice lies. This is how internalized abuse works. Repeated emotional attacks literally reshape your self-image by strengthening neural pathways tied to shame and fear. Over time, confidence feels foreign, even unsafe. So you shrink before anyone asks you to. You apologize before anyone gets angry. You dim your light just to survive the dark. But none of that means you're broken. It means you were trained to forget your own worth. And you're strong enough to remember it again. 5. It has long-term psychological effects. You don't just get over emotional abuse, you adapt around it. Maybe you flinch when someone raises their voice, even if they're just excited. Maybe you over-explain everything, because you've been punished before for saying the wrong thing. You want connection, but your nervous system only knows survival. So love feels dangerous, and peace feels suspicious. And here's the paradox. After years of walking on eggshells, silence can feel louder than shouting. Therapists call this hypervigilance. Your brain's alarm system, the amygdala and prefrontal cortex, stays stuck on high alert, constantly scanning for danger. That's why people who've been emotionally abused often struggle with anxiety, depression, or sudden anger that seems to come from nowhere. They don't lack control. They're living in a body that was taught to expect war. But the mind can relearn safety. Every small boundary, every gentle friend, every deep breath tells your brain a new story. The threat is over. 6. Emotional abuse can also have physical side effects. Your body remembers what your mind tries to forget. Even after the words fade, the tension stays. Maybe your shoulders ache for no reason. Your stomach twists before difficult conversations. You wake up tired, even after sleeping all night. That's not laziness. That's your body speaking the language of survival. Because here's the thing. When your brain thinks you're in danger, your body lives like it. This is what trauma experts call the body keeps the score. Chronic stress releases cortisol, the fight-or-flight hormone, keeping your muscles tight, your heart racing, and your digestion off balance. Over time, it can lead to fatigue, headaches, even chest pain. So no, it's not all in your head. It's stored in your body, waiting for safety to finally let go. That's why healing isn't just talking. It's relearning how to breathe. Through rest, grounding, and gentle movement, you teach your body what calm truly feels like again. 7. It puts you at risk for mental illness. Emotional abuse doesn't end when the relationship ends. It lingers in the way you think, react, and relate. You start feeling guilty for being happy. You question every compliment. You panic when someone goes silent, because silence once meant punishment. And little by little, that constant anxiety becomes your normal. Depression, panic attacks, insomnia. They all become familiar guests. But what most people don't realize is that these symptoms aren't who you are. They're what happened to you. Studies show emotional abuse can trigger structural changes in the brain, reducing gray matter in areas that regulate emotion and decision-making. That's why healing isn't about just thinking positive. It's about retraining a nervous system that's been taught to fear peace. Many survivors also develop coping habits. Overworking, people-pleasing, even self-sabotage. Because chaos feels safer than stillness. But recognizing the pattern is the first act of freedom. You can't fix what you don't name, and naming it is how you stop the cycle. 8. It puts you at risk of becoming an abuser yourself. Here's the hardest truth. Hurt people don't always stay victims. Sometimes, without realizing it, they become what once broke them. You snap at someone who didn't deserve it. You use silence to punish. You crave control, because control once made you feel safe. And in that moment, you see a flash of the person who hurt you, staring back from your own reflection. But here's the turning point. Awareness doesn't make you guilty. It makes you different. Psychologists call this repetition compulsion. The mind tries to recreate old pain, hoping this time it can master it. But healing begins when you stop repeating and start repairing. Within yourself first. You're not doomed to become your abuser. You're given a choice they never took. To feel, to pause, to love consciously. Every time you choose gentleness instead of control, you're rewriting the legacy of pain. And that choice, quiet, small, unseen, is how the cycle ends. You made it through something that was never meant to be survived in silence. Emotional abuse doesn't end when the words stop. It echoes in how you see the world, how you speak to yourself, how you love and let yourself be loved. But every moment of awareness you've had while watching this, that's healing already happening. Because healing doesn't arrive all at once. It's the trembling voice that says, I deserve peace. It's choosing rest even when guilt whispers you shouldn't. It's reaching out, even when your heart says, no one will understand. You don't have to become the person who hurt you to stop feeling weak. You don't have to stay small to stay safe. You're not broken. You're rebuilding. And maybe, just maybe, the pain wasn't the end of your story. It was the invitation to write a gentler one. If this video spoke to you, even just one line, don't keep it to yourself. Someone out there is still trapped in that silent war, thinking no one would ever understand. Send this to them. Let them know they're not alone. And if you're ready to keep healing, watch our next episode, The Logic of Pain. It dives deeper into why broken hearts become so logical, and how logic can become the first bridge back to feeling safe. Until then, take a deep breath. Your healing isn't late. It's just beginning.